Hi, I'm Manny Katz, and you're listening to Reef Ramble, the podcast where we chat with people shaping the future of our oceans from the Great Barrier Reef to the Great Southern Reef. Today's guest is Josh Kirkman, CEO of Surfers for Climate. No video this time. I was traveling light and had to record with a minimal setup. Earlier this week, I was getting ready to head to Sydney for the Australian Geographic Awards. I'll dive deeper into that in another episode. And the day before I left, I reached out to Josh, who was generous enough to make time for a chat. We caught up at their Paddington headquarters, a lively space full of passionate people working to tackle climate issues across Australia. We talked about their new documentary, Seasick, now live on their website, and about the incredible advocacy and outreach work that Surfers for Climate is driving nationwide. Let's get into it. How you going today? What did you get up to?
Wow, had a big strategy session today with a bunch of other sporting organisations that are also doing climate advocacy work.
Yeah.
So there's organisations like Footy for Climate, Cricket for Climate, another organisation called Front Runners, which is all about engaging athletes on messaging around different aspects of climate change and, you know, what can we all do about it. So it's been a fun day. It's not typical for me to sit back and think, you know, and have the space to do that, which is really, it's good.
Yeah. Did you get out for a surf today?
Not today. We've got an event also this weekend at the wave pool here in Sydney, our tradie program. So it's all about engaging tradespeople on climate, because there's a lot of surfers who are also tradies, which is an interesting kind of subculture within surfing.
Sure.
And so we've got this big event. It's like a building expo and a surfing contest for tradies. So that's happening this Saturday, and I'll probably surf then. So I might
Get a session in the wave pool?
Yeah, well, if you're going to be there, you may as well jump in. So it's that's kind of it. But there's I did get a little swim last night. It was talk about the work. It was like a heat wave here yesterday in Sydney. It was like 38 degrees. Crazy. It's spring.
Yeah, I was here, when was it? It was right before winter. I came over in April to do some dive tech training stuff.
Sick.
And when I was here, it was like the hottest summer on record in the hottest night on record in 100 years or something like that.
Crazy.
It was boiling.
Yeah, and look, it just gets you, it just brings it home a bit, like when those unseasonal days happen. It's just that little reminder about what are we doing? What is my work really all about? And, you know, I was there with my 1-year-old baby cooling down, and it's just like, shit. I was thinking about, you know, what's it going to be like when he's 25? What's he going to have to deal with? And that reinvigorates that kind of energy to do the work that we do.
So I guess for people who might not know, what is Surfers for Climate?
Geez, it's been evolving. But look, Surfers for Climate is this whole point of it is that we want to see surfing be this kind of superpower for change. Yeah. There's surfers all around the country. You know, most Aussies live within 50 kilometres of the coastline. So there's estimates that there's a couple of million surfers around Australia, people who might, you know, jump in the water, catch a wave. I always say if you've been knocked over by a wave, you're a surfer as well. There's lots of different ways people ride waves, like boogie boarders, body surfers, stand-up surfers, kite surfers. There's a lot of surfing.
It's many disciplines.
There's a lot of disciplines within surfing. So what we do is we kind of act as a representative group of that kind of constituency. Sure. But we also work to engage them, to get them on these different takeoff points that we kind of say is the big wave of action we're trying to create. So we've got a takeoff point that has, it's called Blue Minds. It's all about youth eco-anxiety and helping build ocean leadership in young people, because we really do need young people to be, writing their own future. They're the ones that have to deal with most of the future. So that's an interesting group to work with, and an amazing program that's been hugely successful. We've got another takeoff point called the Water Women program, which is all about engaging women who want to be ocean leaders in their communities. I think for me, in surf culture, there's a history of misogyny, there's a history of inequality in the gender diversity space. And I think the more women that we can have in leadership along our coastline, the better everything will be.
Yeah.
We've got a program called the Trade Up, and that's this event that's happening this weekend, which is all about kind of connecting surfers who are tradespeople on climate. What's the other one? We've got the Silver Surfers. That's my probably favourite one, which is all about getting older Australians out in the water on boogie boards.
Nice.
Helping them fall in love with surfing. Some of them have never caught a wave before.
Yeah.
So just bringing that joy into their lives and then starting a conversation about, hey, what do you want to do to protect it? And we can provide that educational pathway. And then, we convert all that energy towards our advocacy goals. So all these programs basically feed towards advocacy programs. And the big one that we call the line in the sand is all about trying to, and that's what this surfboard's kind of behind me, is like, we want to see Australia stop looking for new fossil fuels, as soon as possible. We say by 2028. New South Wales already has legislation to ban offshore sea mining, and that program, it's kind of all about, on a state-by-state basis, what can states do to kind of like stop fossil fuel projects from being considered in the ocean.
Totally.
And the big focus area is South Australia. So that's our World Heritage campaign for the Great Australian Bight and Nullarbor.
Yep.
Like, establishing a World Heritage listing there is one way to remove the social license for fossil fuel projects in that part of the world. So yeah, we're just doing a podcast.
Oh.
Hi.
That's all right. We're mic'd.
Oh.
Yeah, we're all good.
I was like, are you live?
Well,
Yeah,
sort of.
we are live. No, it's okay.
He's doing great work.
Yeah,
It's all
thank
good.
you.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like for a bit of context, I live
Yeah, you're
in I live in Coffin Bay.
Oh, sweet.
It's like the west coast of the Eyre Peninsula. It's essentially, just it's not quite the southern edge of the Nullarbor, but we're only a few hours away from it.
Crazy.
And I would be devastated to have any oil drilling happening
100%.
along our coastline. It's
100%.
it's
And look,
astonishing.
and the reason why that's exciting to me,
Yeah.
the other thing I should say before I dive into that is there's a big bunch of our work around positively engaging on renewables.
Sure.
Because there's this huge issue in the country at the moment about misinformation and disinformation about renewable energy projects. And if we don't want to be paralysed in the shift that we need to make on our energy system. I think it's a really important part of the job.
I think like South Australia is actually leading that space in
100%.
moving towards renewables.
Yeah, big time.
We have the most renewables in the country.
Yeah, big time.
So-
You're doing great down there, and I think this whole thing about not locking up, but protecting. I like to think of it as like respecting the ocean. Like, protection is respect, I think. So.
Yeah.
This whole World Heritage listing is an act of respect for that area. And I think what excites me is that that's the origin story of Surfers for Climate in many ways. We were created out of that original fight for the Bight movement.
Yeah.
And that was when Belinda was working on that advocacy effort. I was working on it from the Nordics. And to try and close that circle for me is really important. Like, we did collectively fight against an oil project, and they went away.
Yeah.
And since then, the exploration licenses are no longer available. Nobody's looking right now, so there's an opportune window that we could see that
To get it protected.
World Heritage listed, and that would be kind of the best protection I think we could achieve.
Can you describe what World Heritage listing is? Can you just sum it up? I know it can be complicated.
Look, it's a pretty complicated thing,
Yeah.
but there's different universal values that a place needs to meet in order to be a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's basically a gold medal for an area, and it kind of does put a spotlight on it, puts international eyes on a place, which is really important. The Great Barrier Reef is one such place, Kakadu. There's all these World Heritage listed sites around Australia that celebrate them, and they put them on the map. I think what's interesting is like putting the Great Southern Reef on the map.
Yeah.
That's a word not a lot of people hear.
No, there's a lot of ocean literacy to be spread about the Great Southern
But
Reef.
like, we talk a lot about the Great Barrier Reef and the impacts of climate, but we don't talk about the Great Southern Reef, which I think is a huge missed opportunity. So that is something that I'm really excited about, because if we don't have a cool name for it, nobody's going to give a shit. And so that's important to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so getting this listing, there's a bit of a process. Like we've got to get the state government to be on board and put it on what's called their tentative heritage list. Then we need the federal government to recognise that and then take it to UNESCO and like formally list it on this tentative list. That would then kind of bring on an investigation from UNESCO to come and assess the listing, the proposal. What should also be said that the lead organisation on this work is the Wilderness Society in South Australia.
Yep.
Peter Owen's been working on this for years. Sea Shepherd Australia has been on this for years. Jeff Hansen. We're part of a collective effort. What Surfers for Climate is bringing to this is bringing the awareness of it to surfers.
Yeah.
Because,
but I think you guys definitely also bring the voice of surfers to the table.
Yeah.
So I think in a recent Peace documentary you did, Seasick.
Yeah.
It's about a 20-minute short film you guys produced about the algal bloom, and I watched it this morning, and it's interesting because it's a snapshot in time of what's happened to a particular community, more so like the South Coast, Victor Harbor region in South Australia, and the algal bloom, it's still going on. Like it's rampaging up through Gulf St. Vincent at the moment. Yeah. I'm feeling optimistic. I was just I went for a surf out at Middleton.
Okay, cool.
A couple weeks ago, and it's pretty clear.
Cool.
I had no
symptoms,
nothing going on.
Cool.
Got in, got out, and
great.
Surfed for a couple hours, and it was totally fine.
Awesome.
There was a bit of, I guess, like in the lineup, it was a bit of a, everyone was happy to be out there, but there was also this sense of, I guess, discomfort in a way where people, I think, the community that was out there was like, they realized that this could come back. This is something, just being able to access the water is something that they may not be able to get to do again at a certain point in time if the bloom comes back and it hits these areas. And there have been certain areas around that South Coast where one week it was fine and the next week it wasn't.
Yeah. It's psychologically difficult. Like I was only there for a couple of days to do the documentary because from the outside being in New South Wales, looking into South Oz, it seemed like there was a lot of talk about it locally in your state media, but no one was really talking about it outside of that state at the time when we documented. And I just wanted to raise awareness through the voices of those people you never hear from, like the small business suffering or the surf school that's been challenged by on and off days, so we really wanted to platform voices that you typically wouldn't hear from. Yeah. And that was really cool to do that, but also like incredibly shocking to witness,
it's confronting.
It's super confronting. Like to experience the beach making you sick is something that I don't think any Aussies will realise until it's happening to them.
No, and I think
it's really bad. Like it's the worst.
Prior to moving to Australia, I was in Hawaii for a number of years, and I was doing coral reef monitoring, and like bleaching, right? That's a impact of climate change,
big time.
But there's a big difference between like seeing corals bleach, which it's also incredibly sad. Yeah. But there's a difference between seeing like bleaching and seeing like mass death.
Well, this is something entirely different, and it's like I've said to people, it's like this nightmare on the menu. It's a nightmare that wasn't on the menu for me. Sure. Like I didn't think when I've ever thought about climate change and what it might do to the things I love, an algal bloom wasn't part of that outcome. And that's probably why it was so shocking, because then to learn about it and to learn like, okay, what are the elements that bring these things on? And it's like, warm waters, nutrients coming from somewhere, and then, sunlight for photosynthesis. Boom. Perfect storm. So it's like, well, shit, that can happen anywhere really. Like, all you need is those three elements and stuff can happen. So what I think is really positive out of all of this, though, is like as devastating as the algal bloom is, and this is what, and maybe you from not being an Australian, I don't know if you're an Australian citizen now, but not being from Australia is just that the positive response that Aussies have in a crisis, we do try to look after each other. We're really good at looking after each other, the mateship, the camaraderie.
Sure.
It's really cool to see how people respond to the crisis, the tragedy. But the thing for me is I wish we could be proactive. Like that's what the climate work is about. It's like
and
proactively engaging. But it's really positive to see good people turn up for other good people.
Yeah,
help
and
out.
I did want to say thank you because I think there's lots of people in Australia right now who are aware of the situation and who are talking about it, but there's so few who are actually coming down and engaging with the communities.
Yeah.
And so to have you guys come down and do that, I thought was pretty cool.
Look, thank you.
And I mean, even like going and talking to the Senate. The Senate inquiry. You guys doing that on the behalf of the South Australian surfing community.
Yeah.
It's so impactful, and we're at a point in time where I'm feeling more optimistic because just as of a few days ago, the summer plan got announced. $102.5 million.
Solid.
For funding
Solid.
for community support. I think about 50% of it roughly is for community support, business support.
Yeah.
And then the other half is towards research and monitoring and restoration projects.
Yeah.
And so, we like, it worked. Like what you guys did, it worked.
I'm not going to take credit for that.
Well,
you
get some credit.
It's part of it.
Yeah, there's been a heap of advocacy work done.
There has.
But it's cool. Like it
is really
you guys
cool.
Helped.
No, and look, that's what's the point of doing this job if when the shit hits the fan, you're not going to actually go in and do something. Like, and that's where, how to say, like, thank you. That's the job. What I want to make sure of, though, and this is what happens, the floods on the Northern Rivers happened, 4 years ago? Ish. The fires down the south, about the same, maybe a bit more. Like, why do we have memories like goldfish in this country? Yeah. Like, the signs are all here about what climate change is doing to us. What I hope out of this, the really beautiful things that can come out of this is, it's great that there's this reef restoration work happening. I think that's fantastic because I think one of the big learnings is the reason why the sea got sick is because we don't have these oyster reefs like they used to be there. They used to serve a really important function of absorbing stuff and filtering out things, which can help in these circumstances. So what we've also learned, I think, from the Senate inquiry, although they haven't published their kind of report, but I think what will come out of that is that we do not fund science enough in this country, particularly in the ocean space. Like, we don't even know what's going. We don't have benchmarks. Yeah. Well, so we've got to invest in all this.
We do and we don't. Like, when we started seeing bleaching and climate change happening on the Great Barrier Reef 30 years ago. Sure. Industry banded together, community banded together, and they've had their programs, and I think it's like talked about it on the last episode.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the Great Barrier Reef, right? Like the Great Southern Reef.
Of course, yeah. It's less than 1%.
What do we know? Like it's kind of, and it's this huge reef system. Like the Great Barrier Reef's gotten all the love because it's pretty and it's got all, it's all fancy. Yeah. But like the Great Southern Reef, like it's cold and it's like a bit unforgiving and it's not, it packs a punch. Yeah. So I think, but it's also appreciate these hard spaces.
I think it's about like 80% of all the species we have along the Great Southern Reef are endemic to the region. Exactly. You can't find it anywhere else in the world.
It's crazy. It's so cool.
And we're in the midst of this like biodiversity crisis, right? 100%. We're losing species left, right, and center.
Exactly.
It's unfortunate. It's had to come to something like this. Yeah. It's unfortunate we couldn't be more proactive, but there is work being done now. Yeah. There's investment in these ecosystems, and I think we're getting ourselves set up to have a brighter future.
Exactly, and I think that's it, and if that's what comes out of all this investment, that science is valued greater, if people engage in the process and get to understand the natural world, I think I don't know if it's the timing of it all, but David Attenborough, the Ocean film came out this year and he's 99 years old. There's one character who's tried his best to make us all inquisitive about nature. Yeah. And he will pass away eventually. You know, he's 99 years older. Who knows how much longer he's got? How do we get more people to be inquisitive and wanting to go on a learning journey to understand these interesting wild spaces? If that's an outcome from this algal bloom crisis, that's a very positive outcome. Yeah. More kids off screens, down in the beach, you know, doing the citizen science, doing reef restoration. This is awesome. And I hope that it can be the positive out of this, you know, extreme negative for the people of most of South Australia. I mean, where you come from, it's pretty sparse out there, and the algal bloom hasn't gotten out that far. At least my last understanding, it hasn't gotten out into the Bight, which is really, really lucky. So yes, I think for the majority of South Australians, it's been a tough time, but I hope that this there can be a positive kind of end to the story.
Well, I think there will be.
Yeah.
Josh, thank you so much for having a chat with me, and
no worries.
I look forward to catching up again in the future.
We will.